welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute, which I blame on how hectic my semester has gotten. It is also spooky season, and today we tackle yet another book on my TBR that totally fits the spooky season vibes. This book is written by an author I've already featured in past videos, Leigh Bardugo. If you guys recall, I have talked about Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse books in 2 videos, the Shadow and Bone trilogy in regards to the Shadow and Bone TV adaptation, and a Six of Crows duology in a video essay on fan, family, and crime. Links to both videos can be found in the description below. Today I will be talking about her adult novel Ninth House. Before I go on, be sure to click that subscribe button if you're into film and book reviews for more content from me. So anyway, back to Ninth House. So Ninth House follows Galaxy Alex Stern as she's recruited by a secret society at Yale. The secret society / house that recruited her is called Leith, and Leith is in charge of monitoring the 8 other secret societies in Yale. So these societies dabble in magic and the occult, and so Leith ensures that they don't end up killing people or outsiders during rituals. Alex finds herself investigating when a local girl is murdered, and she's trying to determine whether the murder is connected in any way to the other ancient 8 houses. So let's start off first with the overall spoiler-free review. Ninth House was an interesting read. See, part of the reason why I bought the book in the first place was because I found it on a list of dark academia books. So based on my experiences with dark academia, like Truly Devious, If We Were Villains, and The Secret History, I figured, hey, I know what to expect. I was wrong. It's a heck of a lot darker than those books I just mentioned, and it also incorporated fantasy into it. So the fantasy genre was interesting because it's not like most other fantasy novels I've encountered. With the fantasy novels I've read before, it's usually set in the fantastical world, like the Grishaverse books, or certain fantastical elements are incorporated into the mundane and human world while still having the main fantasy world hidden from the rest of the humans, like the Shadowhunters Chronicles and Percy Jackson series. But the fantasy in this book focuses more on the supernatural, like magic, ghosts, and the occult. So it's almost similar to Vampire Diaries or even Twilight in that there's interesting lore regarding these supernatural concepts, but it's more grounded in the human world than happening in a completely different fantastical world. So I hope that explanation makes sense. So this type of fantasy was pretty refreshing. But as mentioned, it is a heck of a lot darker. So that being said, there are a lot of dark themes and subjects in the book since it is targeted at a more mature audience. So if you're not comfortable with subjects like self-harm and rituals, drug use, murder, blood, graphic violence, attempted sexual assault, and sexual assault, then I recommend that you proceed with extreme caution if you really want to read the book, or just not read it at all. And when I talk about a more mature audience, I would say that this book is totally targeted more at adults, so 18 plus. But I was also the person who would read more mature books when I was younger, so I guess 16 plus is the age range at most. Definitely not any younger than that. So despite the dark subjects and themes, it was a good story. The pacing was a little off. It kind of dragged in the beginning, and it was filled with a lot of words and terminology that I didn't know, and there was a lot of houses to keep track of. I was the idiot who didn't check the back of the book and see that they actually listed the 8 houses and what each house specialized, what kind of magic each house specialized in. Then again, I didn't want to risk spoiling myself. So, but it did start to pick up about halfway through, and the overall story was really well done, and the ending didn't disappoint. So I also like that the book tried to avoid info dumping. So it's very easy to do that when you have to establish the lore, but the information you've been given in the book is it's done sparingly and spread throughout the book, so it was just really well done. So as a mystery and dark academia book, it was also very good, there's very heavy on the literature references and the Latin as well. And while there was a lot of things going on, these things were actually tied to the main mystery. So it was a little confusing at first, but it all made sense and came together quite nicely. And so with that, let's get into the specifics of the highs and lows of the book. So this part of the video is not spoiler free. So if you haven't like read the book yet or haven't finished reading it, like maybe skip this part of the video. But if you don't plan on reading it or you kind of just want to know what happens, feel free to keep watching. So the first thing I loved, the third person perspective and how it would jump between like Alex and Darlington. So the third person perspective is just a lot easier to follow along in my opinion, and I love that we got the two perspectives. What made it even more interesting was Alex's point of view was set in the present and Darlington's was set in the past. So there were two timelines at play in the book. It was a little confusing at first, but once you get to like the fourth chapter, like it starts to make sense and you start to get used to it. So because the way it works with Darlington's point of view is that it builds up to the present and like it explains what happened like leading up to his disappearance. Another thing I loved was no romance, or minimal romance. I think the closest was maybe like some sexual tension between Darlington and Alex, but he was kind of drugged when it happened. And then in regards to Alex's like past romances, and I use that word loosely, like it was all mainly in the past. So it's just great because then we were able to focus more on like the mystery and the magic. With the main mystery regarding Tara Hutchinson's death, like I actually loved how we were able to keep like jumping from suspect to suspect, and right when you think like we got the right suspect, it ended up being like another suspect for real. So like each suspect had a good enough motive that it really makes you wonder like who like killed her and why. So the main lesson I actually took away from the book was something I've always known. Rich people are into some weird stuff. Like I love that Leigh Bardugo combined that with secret societies and like them dabbling with magic. Like it might seem weird to some people, but I can totally see this happening in real life. So that's another like aspect that's grounded in reality. So the final thing I loved was Alex's partnership with the ghost of the bridegroom, aka North. First off, the fact that she was able to allow a ghost, or Grey, to possess her. Like that is a dope power, along with being able to like see them naturally without any like help from potions. Unlike the other Leaf delegates who needed like an elixir to like be able to see the Greys. And the fact that his death was connected to the mystery of Tara's murder was just well done, like honestly. And there's not a lot of things I disliked about the book. Like the main thing was the pacing, which I already mentioned. But apart from that, like it was a really good and intriguing book. So if I were to give this book an overall rating, it'd be like a 7.8 out of 10. So a B+. The story was intriguing, but it wasn't super compelling at the beginning because I was able to stop reading and like step away to do other things. But it does get better and I would still like recommend reading it. Just again, if you are not comfortable with heavy and dark themes, please proceed with caution when reading the book. The mystery, dark academia, and fantastical elements were just done really well, and I'm actually eager to read the sequel once it's released. So it's also like a good Halloween read, so if you're looking to get into like the spooky season mood, I'd recommend reading this book. Ideally curled up with a blanket by the window and a scented candle lit on. And that's a wrap on Ninth House. My next video will be up sometime in early to mid-November, and it will be on Edgar Wright's movie, Last Night in Soho. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe.